The Galactic Council had made a grave miscalculation. Ambassador Zixthor of the Velkarian Empire stood before the holographic display, his crystalline appendages trembling with something that resembled fear. The data scrolling across the screen defied everything the galaxy had believed about humanity for the past 2 decades. "This cannot be accurate," he hissed, his translator struggling to convey the depths of his concern. Commander Katniss Everdeen leaned back in her chair aboard the UNSC Defiance, a slight smile playing at the corners of her mouth. She had heard this particular brand of disbelief before, 20 years ago when humanity had first made contact with the Galactic Council. They had been classified as a Class 7 species, fragile, water-dependent, and utterly unsuited for anything beyond their own temperate world. The galaxy had pitied them. "I assure you, Ambassador, every figure is verified," Katniss said calmly. "Would you like me to explain how we achieved atmospheric sustainability on Kepler 442b? Or perhaps you'd prefer to hear about our mining operations on the neutron star remnant in Sector 19. Zixthor's color shifted to a deep purple, the Velkarian equivalent of nausea. Kepler 442b was a scorched hellscape with surface temperatures that could melt lead. The neutron star's gravity well had killed 3 Velkarian survey teams just attempting orbital reconnaissance. "Impossible," he whispered. "Your species requires oxygen, water, specific temperature ranges. Your bone density is inadequate for high-gravity worlds. Your skin offers no protection against radiation. You are fragile." Katniss stood, her movements precise despite the increased gravity of the Council station. She had trained in 3 times Earth gravity for so long that standard gravity felt like swimming through air. "We were fragile," she corrected. "But you see, Ambassador, humanity has this peculiar trait. We're stubborn. Offensively, unreasonably stubborn." 50 light-years away, Dr. James Hawthorne was proving her point. The Draxian overseer watched in horrified fascination as the human scientist worked inside the plasma containment field, his bare hands manipulating equipment that should have vaporized organic matter instantly. James's environmental suit was damaged, torn by shrapnel from the reactor breach, yet he continued working with calm efficiency. "Human James, you must evacuate," the overseer's translator crackled. "Core temperature is exceeding safety parameters." James didn't even glance up. "Safety parameters for whom? I've got another 10 minutes before this becomes uncomfortable." Uncomfortable. The Draxian's sensory organs nearly shut down from the absurdity. The chamber was currently at 340 degrees Celsius. The human should be dead. Instead, he was casually rerouting plasma conduits while his suit's life support system dangled uselessly at his side. What the Draxian didn't know, what very few non-humans understood, was that James had spent 5 years training his body to withstand extreme temperatures. Meditation techniques adapted from ancient human practices, combined with gradual exposure therapy and modern biomedical enhancements, had pushed his tolerance to superhuman levels. His ancestors had walked across burning coals and sat in saunas heated beyond boiling. James had simply taken that evolutionary quirk and weaponized it. "Reactor stabilized," he announced 15 minutes later, emerging from the chamber with nothing more than a light sheen of sweat on his brow. "You might want to upgrade your cooling systems, though." That was cutting it close. The Draxian could only stare. Back on the Council station, Katniss continued her explanation. "When you told us we couldn't survive on high-gravity worlds, we trained. When you said our bones were too weak, we developed new supplements and used your own medical technology to strengthen them. When you claimed we needed Earth-like conditions, we sent colonists to every hellhole we could find and let them adapt." She pulled up another display, showing a thriving human colony on a planet with 6 times Earth's gravity. Children played in what the Velkarians would consider a crushing death trap. Workers constructed buildings with their bare hands in atmospheric conditions that required other species to use remote drones. "You see, Ambassador, you gave us a challenge. And humans love challenges." Zixthor's color had faded to a sickly gray. "But the radiation alone on some of these worlds—" "We adapted," Katniss interrupted. "Genetic modifications, shielding technology, cellular regeneration therapy. We even discovered that some of our own ancient extremophile organisms could teach us tricks. Did you know we found bacteria on Earth that could survive in reactor cores? We studied them, learned from them." She leaned forward, her eyes bright with pride. "Humanity spent millions of years adapting to survive on one of the most geologically unstable, weather-volatile, predator-filled planets in this sector. We evolved persistence hunting, the ability to simply outlast our prey until it died of exhaustion. We developed the capacity to eat almost anything organic and some things that aren't. We learned to survive everywhere from frozen tundras to scorching deserts. And then, she continued, you told us we were fragile. You gave us something to prove. A priority transmission interrupted them. James's face appeared on the screen, grinning despite the obvious exhaustion in his eyes. Commander, Draxian reactor facility is secure. No casualties, though I think I gave their overseer an existential crisis. Katniss smiled. Good work, Doctor. Head back to base and get some rest. Actually, James said, I was thinking about volunteering for that survey. Mission to the methane ice world in Sector 31. Here nobody thinks humans can handle cryogenic environments either. The transmission ended before Katniss could respond. She turned back to Zixthor, whose crystalline structure was now vibrating with what could only be described as existential dread.
Ambassador, I believe this meeting has been productive.
You came here to discuss humanity's expansion into what you call uninhabitable zones. I hope I've clarified our position. Zixthor managed a weak gesture of acknowledgement. The Council will need to revise its classification of humanity. Oh? Katniss raised an eyebrow. What classification would you suggest? The ambassador was quiet for a long moment, his color cycling through several emotions before settling on a resigned blue. Unkillable, he finally said. Class designation unkillable. Katniss's smile widened. We prefer resilient, but I'll take it. As she watched the ambassador's ship depart, Katniss reflected on humanity's journey. They had been underestimated, pitied, and dismissed, and in response they had become something the galaxy had never seen before, a species that treated impossibility as a mild suggestion rather than a hard limit. Somewhere out there, James was probably already suiting up for his cryogenic expedition, ready to prove once again that human fragility was the galaxy's most dangerous misconception. After all, they were only fragile until someone told them they couldn't do something. Then they became unstoppable.